Welcome to Athens Happens. I'm Ben Peters, a news editor at the New Political. Athens Happens is a weekly news podcast brought to you by TMP reporters dedicated to explaining the nuances of Athens and state politics. You can find new episodes every Friday at thenewpolitical.com, Spotify, and soundcloud.com/the-new-political. Today, we're going to talk about a student organization and Uptown business with ties to a company previously suspected by the Federal Trade Commission of being a pyramid scheme, the contentious state of Athens mayoral and city council elections, and the new director of a town department that enforces housing laws amid a citywide controversy over rental housing conditions. First, we're going to examine a student organization and Uptown business suspected of being a pyramid scheme. I'm joined by Delaney Murray, a longtime TMP reporter. How are you, Delaney?
I'm good.
Awesome. So what's going on here with this business and this student organization?
Yeah, so let's start at the beginning, which is how I ran into this story anyways. So I feel like this was like the first story in my very short journalistic career where I actually just found it by like walking around and living my life. So I am a leader in another student organization, so I had to go to the involvement fair this year, as I have every single year. And I was just carrying my trifold, walking through College Green, and I saw this table for this organization I'd never heard of called Odyssey Fitness, which is an organization here on campus, and the two girls that were running the table had Herbalife shirts. Now, I'd heard of Herbalife before. I watched the documentary a few years ago called Betting on Zero, which was all about Herbalife and its battles with the FTC and also with many Wall Street people in general.
So what is Herbalife?
Yeah, so Herbalife is a multi-level marketing company, or MLM is the shortening of that. I'll probably use MLM more because it's less words. So basically how Herbalife works is it's one of those companies where someone can recruit other people into the business to sell products. So with Herbalife, it's a health food company. So mainly they're selling like protein shakes or like weight loss teas, that kind of stuff. And so someone can join the company and then recruit friends or family members to the company as well. And they not only make money off of what they're selling personally, but what other people are selling. And so they call it an upline, downline, and it basically works like that. So it's multiple levels, and that's why it's called that. So that's how Herbalife works. But in the past, they've had some suspicious activity going on. And they did have a lawsuit with the FTC back in 2016. So that immediately, and we can talk about that later, but that's why it initially drew my interest, that people had Herbalife shirts on and it was a university campus. And I'm like, okay, this is an interesting company to have like on university property. And I was just talking with some friends. I'm like, this is kind of weird. Like, can you believe this? And I like snuck back to the table when the girls weren't there because I was like scared of taking their picture. But I took the signs. I took pictures of the Herbalife catalogs they had on their table just to like send to my friends and be like, can you believe this? And from there, I just kind of fell down the rabbit hole. Like, I called Odyssey Nutrition, which is a business uptown that I didn't know if that was directly associated with Odyssey Fitness. So they're similar names, but they're different. And I just called them up and a guy answered and, he said he was the one in charge. So I said, hey, are you like associated with this campus? He's like, yeah, actually I founded that club while I was at OU 5 years ago. And so he was the founder and he said, yeah, we founded this club at OU and then we started this business like a few months afterwards, which was interesting because I'd never heard of an organization doing that before. And then I asked him, okay, are you associated with Herbalife in any ways? And I kind of expected maybe a half answer or something like that because Herbalife had so much controversy, but he told me, he's like, no, we're an Herbalife club. Like, we sell Herbalife, like, we're Herbalife. And I went, oh, okay, that's really interesting. And then I asked him, okay, is the OU club associated with that too? And that's where I started to get the half answers, like, oh, well, like, some members are in it, but we don't require it, and that sort of thing. And yeah, from there I found the connection with that, and it kind of led me down this hole of, okay, what does it mean to be an Herbalife nutrition club? What does it mean that we even have like someone on campus that's associated with a business elsewhere? What does that all mean? And that's kind of where it led me down this rabbit hole of like a bunch of different things and the history of Herbalife and how we run clubs on campus. And yeah, that's kind of the basis of it, but that's kind of how it started. Was I just walked by this table at the involvement fair and I was like, wow, that's really weird and interesting. So that's kind of how I fell down this rabbit hole in the first place.
So Herbalife in 2016, correct, was in a lawsuit with the Federal Trade Commission, a federal agency, for being suspected of operating a pyramid scheme.
Right.
So what is the difference between a multi-level marketing and a pyramid scheme?
Okay.
Which Herbalife is a multi-level marketing.
Yeah, I need to be very careful and say the FTC did not find that they were a pyramid scheme, so they are a multi-level marketing company, and they'll tell you that, and they're open about that. So the big difference is that MLMs are legal and pyramid schemes are not. So the main difference beyond just the legality is kind of how people make their money. So they have very similar structures. So in both a pyramid scheme and then a more legitimate multi-level marketing company, you'll have the system where people can recruit other people and they make money both off of sales generated from other people coming into the company, but also off of the product they're directly selling. The main difference is that in a multi-level marketing company, you can make money just off of sales. So the way it's supposed to work is you join Herbalife and you can recruit absolutely nobody, but you can still sell, your protein shakes, your weight loss teas, whatever it may be, dietary supplements. I don't know their whole catalog, but that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So you can just make money off of selling their product. But in a pyramid scheme, you really can't make money solely off the product. You need to recruit to make any kind of income within the company. So it can be hard to determine, but that's really the main difference is in a pyramid scheme, you're not really making money off of selling at all. You're making money off of recruitment. And that's why it's considered less legitimate and why it's ultimately illegal.
So why did FTC suspect Herbalife was operating a pyramid scheme?
So Herbalife doesn't have a great record of success, and I will say that Herbalife themselves found that. So the FTC cited a study that was conducted within Herbalife itself, so it wasn't even by a third party or anything like that. And you would expect usually studies conducted by the company themselves are maybe going to have a more positive bias, but this study actually found that I believe the figure is 57% of people that joined Herbalife either made no money or lost money off of being in that business. So you have the majority of people coming in that are being promised that they can make an income, and they're just not, or they're losing money. Mm. And these are probably people that can't afford to lose money anyways. So that was kind of why FTC had some concerns. And also, because they can't make money off of selling, the focus is going to be more on recruitment. So I will say that a settlement was reached before they could really do any solid investigation. And one of the requirements of that settlement, aside from Herbalife having to pay quite a bit of money to people that lost money, somewhere around $200 million, which is a lot, they also had to follow certain rules. And most of those were around the promises they were making to people. So they couldn't say, oh, you can make thousands and thousands of dollars by doing this if that's not true. And also their focus has to be on selling product and not solely recruitment. So those are the big things that, they had to make sure that they changed and were actually following.
So why is multi-level marketing appealing to college students?
Honestly, it sounds like an appealing job to a lot of people when you hear the pitch. You hear, oh, well, you can make a full-time income on part-time hours is really the big pitch. And, so you have flexible hours, you can have a way to make money. So college students hear that and they go, oh, I can work between classes really easily. I can make more money than I could off maybe a food service job or something like that. And also they sell that they have a community there. They have other salespeople, they have people you can meet. And when you're just coming into college and you don't know a lot of people, it's really appealing to come to communities. That's why we have the involvement fair and, clubs and that sort of thing. So they're also selling a community at the same time. But I think the main thing is that flexible schedule and really appealing salary amounts that they're throwing out, because I think a lot of college students want to make money on the side, but especially if you're someone that's putting your way through college or you have student loan debt that you're trying to pay off, if you can work between classes and supposedly make a full-time income, that's going to be really appealing to you to get into. So I think the main thing is just that they're promising you a lot of money for not a lot of time. And that's not something you can get with a lot of other jobs. So I think that's mainly the thing that draws people in.
Did anybody from Odyssey Fitness tell you how much money that they make? Like, do they make good money if you're an employee there?
So I actually don't know that. So I should say, so Odyssey Nutrition is the business, and then Odyssey Fitness is the student org.
Okay.
And the student org, people aren't required to join Herbalife. Like, that's not an Herbalife club. I do know that people are in it, but I don't know the exact specifics of how much money people are making or whatnot. I will say that the Odyssey Nutrition, which is the Herbalife club that's open, that has been open for 5 years, and it's actually had 2 locations. So it's managed to stay open, and it seems like it's thriving in Athens. So I imagine that they're making a pretty decent amount of money. But I have no idea if that's an outlier or pretty common or exactly how much their income is. I wasn't able to find that out.
So what should students who are interested in taking a sales job or maybe even a multi-level marketing job look out for to avoid predatory business practices?
Yeah, so I think the first thing would just be a simple Google search. So if you can search a company and sort of find blogs or Reddit forums or anything like that that are kind of throwing up some red flags, maybe you see them on an anti-MLM sort of business, read into that, see if other people have experiences, because those are places a lot of people have personal stories and things like that of, hey, I joined this MLM, or my friend joined this MLM, or my family member, and we lost a lot of money, or we had really bad experiences with the company, or the products are really not good. Those sorts of things, that can be a good start. But of course, it's not everything. And then you can go to government websites like the FTC, and you can search the terms, see if they have any litigation, that sort of thing. You might want to read up and educate yourself. And really just ask a lot of questions. So normally, someone that might be getting into an MLM, they might be recruited by another person. So really ask a lot of questions. Ask, how many people were you recruiting? Were you able to make money before you recruited people? How much sales do you actually make? How do you, make the product appealing to people? How big is your downline? How big is your upline? Can you talk to people within the company? Are you going to give me resources to sell the product? Also, do I have to pay to get into the company? Because a lot of these companies have, packages that cost thousands of dollars of product that you have to buy to get in. And sometimes that can be a legitimate way to get in. Sometimes it just means that the employees are actually the main customers of the company, and that can be a bad sign. So I think those are all questions that people can ask to see if it's legitimate, but also just to see if it works for them, because some businesses are legitimate where you have to pay hundreds of dollars to get in, but not everyone can afford that, especially if you're looking for a job. You don't have $500 laying around to buy a starting pack. So those are all questions that people can ask to see if it's right for them, or if it's something that you even want to get involved with in the first place.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to say about this?
I would say if anyone's interested in this, you should watch the documentary Betting on Zero, which I mentioned. I think it's on Netflix. I watched it maybe 2-3 years ago. That really goes into Herbalife's history. They talk about Bill Ackman, who's a Wall Street guy. That's a generic title for him. But he made a bet that Herbalife stock would go down to zero at one point, and that's why the documentary is called what it is. So he had this very in-depth idea of how they worked and how the company was supposedly doomed. And they also go into kind of their relationship with the immigrant community, which I think is really interesting to kind of get into. So that's a really interesting one to do. And yeah, if you just want to look on the anti-MLM Reddit, they helped me a lot with just researching and getting interested in this topic in the first place. And they kind of put Herbalife on my radar. So I kind of have them to thank for being interested in this topic in the first place. But yeah, if you're interested, you can go there for more.
Well, Delaney, thank you so much.
Yeah,
we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, of course.
We'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. I'm Maggie Prosser, editor-in-chief here at The New Political. Each and every day, I work alongside reporters, editors, producers, and managers who put their heart and soul into the journalism we produce. Here at TNP, we have the honor to tell the stories of the residents of this small town we call home. We're looking for local businesses and other ventures to help us continue funding for our independent journalism, including the podcast you're listening to right now. TNP would love to advertise for you through our website, our biannual magazine, or right here on Athens Happens. If interested, please send an inquiry email to execedit@thenewpolitical.com for more details. We hope working together can support both your initiative and fuel TNP's strong, reliable, and essential journalism here in Athens.
Election season is heating up as summer fades here in Athens. Several newcomers are working to unseat Mayor Steve Patterson and members of the city council. I'm joined by managing editor Cole Behrens, who's been following these campaigns for months. How are you, Cole?
I'm doing dandy. How are you doing?
I'm awesome. So tell us what happened last week at city council.
So last week at city council, Democratic Socialist and independent candidate for mayor, Damon Crane, and Ellie Hamrick, a member of the Athens Revolutionary Socialists, both came to the city council meeting, and they, I guess, condemned the council or slammed the council for doing what they call co-opting their platform. I attended a forum at the beginning of the summer in June for the independent socialists, and this was their platform, was reforming housing. And then the city council comes not 2-3 weeks ago. They just came up with this ordinance that Damon Crane is saying is stealing his platform.
What is this ordinance that city council's proposed?
So this ordinance, what it's going to do if passed, which is the voting on that will occur this upcoming Monday.
Mm-hmm.
If passed, it will create a repeating misdemeanor felony after a long process of issuing warnings, and about 60 days of non-compliance can result in the misdemeanor fine.
Non-compliance of landlords who aren't attending to rental properties.
Yes, non-compliance of landlords not attending to rental properties. And this is receiving knockback not just from Damon Crane and Ellie Hamrick, but it's also getting knockback from Pat McGee, who told me that he was trying to get a provision into the bill that would allow the student body to access the housing council that would be created with the bill, and that kind of language wasn't included. He was trying to get that in. I don't believe it made its way into the bill or the ordinance, proposed ordinance. Let me correct myself.
So just so I'm understanding this correctly, we have two independent candidates running for.
Yes.
Damon Crane running for mayor.
Yes.
Ellie Hamrick running for council.
Both running on pro-tenant, pro-laborer, they're running on a socialist platform.
Okay, so they then came to city council, not this past Monday, but the week before, and essentially got upset because they think that city council is co-opting their platform. Why are they upset about that?
Not only do they think that they're co-opting the platform in order to undermine their electability in the upcoming election, but they also believe that this ordinance is merely a token or just a gesture rather than concrete movement. Damon Crane and Mayor Steve Patterson, the current mayor, have been engaging in a sort of argument over the past couple months about how many code enforcement directors are actually performing inspections on the rental units.
Code enforcement, by the way, is the city office
housing
building
authority
that enforces housing laws.
Yeah, it's the primary housing authority in the city, and they are currently understaffed, according to the former housing director or the code enforcement director, Rick Sorois, and then they just got a new one, David Riggs. And Riggs confirmed with us what the Athens News had proved by way of records, that they do only have 4 enforcement directors actually performing inspections. Not directors, they only have 4 inspectors. There are 4 inspectors, and then there are 2 sewage waste people who aren't performing housing inspections, basically. So Damon Crane is saying that this is a criminal negligence on part of the city. It's neglectful of certain housing rights.
Did Mayor Steve Patterson have any response to the?
Yeah, Mayor Steve Patterson claimed that there were 7 housing inspectors, or that there were 7 people performing inspections, but the Athens News proved that there were 4, and then David Riggs also confirmed with the New Political that there were 4.
But did Patterson say anything at the council meeting?
He didn't say anything at the council meeting. He did not. None of the council body acknowledged. Well, I mean, they acknowledged it, but they didn't respond or address them. Actually, Damon Crane and Hamrick both took the opportunity to go after Lisa Eliason, the city law director, who they were saying is compliant in this issue that the ordinance seeks to amend, that she would treat multiple charges, multiple violations of housing code as one single charge and give the minimum fine. So they criticized her for that, and she didn't offer me a comment. So,
is this kind of this isolated incident at city council. Is this kind of emblematic of the election season that we're seeing right now? A handful of independent candidates trying to come in and change up the political landscape here in Athens, get some of these figures who have been here for a long time out?
So yeah, I think Damon Crane will say this just as much as I'm going to say it, that Pat McGee was kind of set Patrick McGee, the at-large city council member for Athens. Independent. Kind of set the ball rolling of the electability of independent candidates in Athens. He's got his election coming up again after a battle with the Board of Elections over cursive signatures. He's definitely paved the way, I think, for this. There's Chris Monday, there's Ellie Hamrick, there's Damon Crane, all running independently. And I think that, the independents are markedly left independents are attempting to shake up the political scene in Athens, because Damon Crane said this at the forum in June, that most city council elections are uncontested, and that Damon Crane is running on a platform of contesting the uncontested elections. Okay.
And what other policies are Crane and Hamrick proposing other than this housing reform that they have focused a lot on?
Hamrick addresses a lot of policing issues, I suppose. She talks about she spoke at the forum in June about cutting the budget for the police department. I believe she said at every possibility she would attempt to cut the budget for the police department, decriminalizing all substances in Athens, and instituting a variety of drug treatment programs.
Why does she want to give less money to police?
She believes police are an institution of oppression.
Okay. And how is Mayor Steve Patterson's administration responding to any of these challengers?
I understand it's been a war of the letters in the news, the Athens News. They've kind of been going back and forth. Damon Crane is typically the one coming out and criticizing the mayor, and the mayor rarely seems to criticize back.
Interesting. So I saw that you mentioned something about Ellie Hamrick proposed at the council meeting a tenants union. Yeah. What would that look like?
She didn't elaborate much further than a call to action
for the tenants to unionize to collective bargain against their landlords.
Landlords are maybe the city. Okay. I'm not going to speculate much further than that, but
okay.
Hey all, Sarah Horne here. I'm the digital manager at the New Political. And if I had to pick the best decision I made as a college freshman, joining this outstanding publication would be it. At TMP, I've had the experience of creating both compelling written and digital content. My understanding of local politics has also immensely improved. TMP makes integration between written and digital work for staffers a priority and offers a unique opportunity to have a wide portfolio of clips. Not only that, but working for this publication helped me land an internship in Washington, D.C. as a digital productions intern for The Hill. Our publication is award-winning, independent, nonpartisan, and run by a dedicated team of student journalists. Apart from its content, the New Political has brought me some of my closest friends. The people who I work with make my job fun and fulfilling, and they never cease to amaze me with their kindness, collaborative spirits, and humor. If you too want to join the New Political, come to our all-staff meetings Sunday evening at 7 p.m. in Scripps Hall 210, or reach out to me at shorne, SHORNE, at thenewpolitical.com.
Athens recently hired a new director of code enforcement and community development, a local office that enforces housing laws in Athens amid a citywide controversy over rental housing conditions. I'm joined by senior writer Nathan Hart, who has his finger on the pulse.
Yes, my finger is very much on the pulse.
So who is this new housing director, or code enforcement director?
Well, his name is David Riggs. He's from Mason, Ohio, which is near Cincinnati. And he grew up near here in Meigs County, which is like 20 miles south of Athens.
Okay. And So code enforcement has been under fire recently by a number of groups, including local candidates running for office like Damon Crane, public officials like Chris Fall, and other residents. What does Riggs hope to do in the short term to ameliorate people's concerns?
Well, he didn't really say, because he kind of knew the whole situation. He only started like a week and a half ago, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So he might not even be 100% familiar with the sort of the context that's going on and all the criticizing and whatnot. But I know he said he was gonna look at everything from a data standpoint and then assess how like the department is working, and like if they're not doing well enough, then they can he can look into hiring more people.
Okay. And so city council, as we just talked about with Cole, is taking steps to reform housing conditions for renters in Athens. You spoke with council member Chris Fall. What did she have to say about housing?
Well, basically, she said the housing situation in Athens is it's run down and it's not diversified enough for people across the income spectrum, which it seems like it can be pretty expensive to live here. And she also said that there is code enforcement is understaffed, which is yet to be seen. They only have 9 employees, but Riggs said he would have to look at everything to see if that was like too few to do all the inspections they need to do. Because I know for a fact that they have to do yearly inspections now of every rental property in Athens, and they have to also inspect like when there's complaints or other stuff like that. So he said you have to look into it. But
there's only 4 regular inspectors inspecting houses. The Athens News reported a few weeks ago.
Yeah, there's only 4 regular inspectors inspecting houses. I guess in theory, the director and the sanitation officers could inspect houses, but I'm not sure how often they would do that. Probably not very.
Yeah. So, there's been a lot of talk about the number of people employed at code enforcement. Chris Fall says they're understaffed. A lot of other people say they're understaffed. Did he explicitly say like, yeah, we are understaffed and this is something we're looking into?
He didn't say that, but he confirmed to me that there were only 9 people working there. And he also said that since he's new there, he has to basically like look at everything that's going on and like get his head wrapped around like Athens code and the Athens community before he starts like figuring out like if he needs more people.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nathan. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you too.
And that wraps it up for week 2 here on Athens Happens. Be sure to turn in every Friday for new episodes that shed light on the politics that impact all of our lives. Also, be sure to check out our website at thenewpolitical.com and follow @thenewpolitical on social media to keep up to date on what really happens here in Athens.